It's that courage isn't at the absence of fear. It isn't at the absence of fear, but it is portraying it despite it. Despite the fear, you should still portray courage. It is just like an umbrella. An umbrella is going to protect you from the rain, but it is not going to stop that rain. It's going to give you that shield against the rain. So courage gives you that power against fear, just like it has given those women. And that has inspired me to answer this question. Now, going into the question, before I even go into it again, I still need to explain something. There have been very wrong misconceptions people had about sex and gender. There is a difference between sex and gender. There is a particular quote said by a professor of sociology and human studies who is Judith Lober. He said, gender could be defined in the social aspect. Gender belongs to the social class. Therefore, sex is different from gender, because being a man or woman is different from being a male or female. Because gender is social in nature, it is psychological in nature, while sex is anatomical and physiological in nature. So you shouldn't say, I'm a man, I'm a woman, because men are superior. Men have always been very strong. So that means women cannot do up to what men could do. So we should not use sex to judge that. We use gender to judge it. It's just like the differences between sex and sexuality. Under sexuality, we have sexual identification, sexual orientation, and sexual practice. So everything belongs to the social class. They belong to the social class. So we should know the differences between the anatomical class and the social class. Now, going into the rules, over the years, we've always lived in an African society, a patriarchal African society, that have always restricted women to childbearing and domestic duties only. They feel women are only entitled to childbearing and washing plates, being in the kitchen and everything. But that is not the case. And I noticed that over the years, even after that, the killing of the daughter child, the bearing of the daughter child, giving a child out forcefully into marriage, and other kind of social torture and psychological torture. Over the years, there has been a global trend that whose goal was to harness the potential in women, and I'm so happy about that. That has prompted me to talk about this topic, because I've seen a lot, even when I was in secondary school. I faced some things from some male counterparts. They'll be like, you cannot do it because you are a female. You cannot do this. No, you cannot do it. So I stood up and said, no, being a female does not restrict me to some things. So you cannot say I can't, because I can, and I believe I can. So that's followed those things, and we always follow the rules and everything, and we've been working on them. There are still some silent people that have not been able to voice out. So we need to be a voice for the voiceless. That is the number one takeaway I'll give you women. Be a voice for the voiceless. Be a women advocate. You can join different organizations that advocate for the social inclusion policy, the fight against women torture, the fight against the cultural restriction of women from doing things that are related to the social life and the economic world. So you could actually join this. I'll be
káàbọ̀ sórí ètò àìtó Funfact. Orúkọ tèmi ò yí padà látàbí ìsìnkú Bello Ahmed Ọláwọ̀n mi ní orúkọ tèmi. Èmi náà dẹ̀ ni màá tún máa host ètò yìí bí mo ṣe ti máa host ẹ̀bọ̀ látàná. Nínú tí máa ń ṣe fún yín ládéhùn náà ni pé gbogbo ẹni tí máa gbé wá sórí ètò yìí, àwọn tí wọ́n máa wá ṣe wá láǹfààní ni tí a máa kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ lára wọn. Ó ṣe pé àǹfààní tí wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe wá gan, àwa gan máa fojú pé ó kọjá bẹ́ẹ̀. Mo tún ti ṣe bí mo ṣe máa ń ṣe ní ọ̀sọ̀ọ̀sẹ̀. Before going there, to you our lovers, we do appreciate you guys. We do thank you guys for the reaction, the likes, the shares, and the comments. Gbogbo bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń fọwọ́ ránṣẹ́ sí wa, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni gbogbo ẹ̀ náà là ń rí. Ìṣe wa dúpẹ́, Ọlọ́run nífẹ̀ẹ́ yín náà lẹ̀. Ọlọ́run dẹ̀ túbọ̀ máa pèsè fún yín tí ẹ fi máa rí owó dáadáa dátà, tí ẹ lè fi máa kọ́ ẹ̀kọ́ ọ̀tun ìyẹn lórí program ti wà yìí. Gẹ́gẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ti mọ̀ pé níta gbé tòyí kalẹ̀ fún. Wọ́n ṣe torí ìkọ̀kan bí ìṣe pé ká lè fi dá ọmọ aráyé lẹ́kọ̀ọ́. Mo máa ń sábà ń sọ lórí ètò dáadáa. Ó ṣọ̀wọ́n náà ọmọ tá a rí tí wọ́n ń kàwé sí. Àmọ́ tẹ bá rí social media, ó ti gbalé ayé kan rìn. So we see this as a little way of giving back to the society in our own aspect. So for that, a tún ti ṣe bá ṣe máa ń ṣe lọ́sọ̀ọ̀sẹ̀. In fact, ẹni tí mo bẹ̀rẹ̀ tún gbé wálé ní ó kọjá bẹ́ẹ̀. Àmọ́ ẹ jẹ́ kí n fi orin wọn sí ọ̀dọ̀ wọn tí má dọ̀dọ̀ wọn.
Good day, distinguished audience. Solahudeen, Toyyibbah, Oreoluwatomiwa, and it's a very great pleasure to be here today with my distinguished hosts. Thank you so much for having me here, sir. I was asked to explain how I was brought up, my educational life and my social life. I was born in Lagos, Ikotun, to be precise. I grew up as a child that looked up to the elders around me. Seeing great men and women around me being value-driven and goal-oriented, I decided to follow their steps because despite obstacles, despite the social expectations, the social biases, they still continued what drives them. They still continued to be that thing they were. They still continued to apply their courage and bravery in different aspects of their lives to break barriers in every field, and they were able to achieve their success. So I keep following that lane that was laid down for me to follow, and thank God for today I still continue to be on that lane. My educational life, it was so great and inspiring. So it has taken me to some kind of places that increased my experience about life, and thank God about that.
I love that very much. And in your words, because I don't normally have questions on this program. The questions I do pick up is from whatever you give as a reply.
Yeah.
I hope you understand that. According to you, you said something earlier. You said you are a goal-driven someone.
Yes, sir.
And you value education. You want to grow and something of stuff. That will be prompting me to ask you this question. In the society that we are now, a lot of people don't value women. We see women as people that they are going to end up in the kitchen. Like they're having no value to the community or to the society. In your own way, and how did you think women are adding to this community? How do you think women are being useful to the society? How do you think women will add value to the society?
Thank you, sir. Before I go into the topic to be discussed, before I go into that question asked by him, I would like to talk about a reading experience I came across when I was still very young, and that was in the year 2019. There was a very great gift I got that year, and that was a book written by Margaret Atwood, the book called Handmaid's Tale. It was talking about the importance of women's rights, the importance of ladies in the society, the efforts of the society in order to stop the objectification of women. And like I said before, seeing great women around me, the way they've always worked towards their goals despite obstacles, they face different kind of challenges. Even what the men contemporaries, the men counterparts did not face, they faced a lot. And despite that, they still stood on their ground. They still followed this saying which states that courage isn't at the absence of fear. It isn't at the absence of fear, but it is portraying it despite it. Despite the fear, you should still portray courage. It is just like an umbrella. An umbrella is going to protect you from the rain, but it is not going to stop that rain. It's going to give you that shield against the rain. So courage gives you that power against fear, just like it has given those women. And that has inspired me to answer this question. Now, going into the question, before I even go into it again, I still need to explain something. There have been a very wrong misconception people had about sex and gender. There is a difference between sex and gender. There is a particular quote said by a professor of sociology and human studies who is Judith Lover. He said, gender could be defined in the social aspect. Gender belongs to the social class. Therefore, sex is different from gender, because being a man or woman is different from being a male or female. Because gender is social in nature, it is psychological in nature, while sex is anatomical and physiological in nature. So you shouldn't say, I'm a man, I'm a woman, because men are superior. Men have always been very strong. So that means women cannot do up to what men could do. So we should not use sex to judge that. We use gender to judge it. It's just like the differences between sex and sexuality. Under sexuality, we have sexual identification, sexual orientation, and sexual practice. So everything belongs to the social class. They belong to the social class. So we should know the differences between the anatomical class and the social class. Now, going into the rules. Over the years, we've always lived in an African society, a patriarchal African society that have always restricted women to childbearing and domestic duties only. They feel women are only entitled to childbearing and washing plates, being in the kitchen and everything. But that is not the case. And I noticed that over the years, even after that, the killing of the daughter child, the bearing of the daughter child, giving a child out forcefully into marriage, and other kind of social torture and psychological torture. Over the years, there has been a global trend, that whose goal was to harness the potential in women, and I'm so happy about that. That has prompted me to talk about this topic because I've seen a lot, even when I was in secondary school. I faced some things from some male counterparts. They'll be like, you cannot do it because you are a female. You cannot do this. No, you cannot do it. So I stood up and said, no, being a female does not restrict me to some things. So you cannot say I can't, because I can, and I believe I can. So that global trend now, it has made us understand that though women face a lot of challenges, social exclusion because they were excluded from so many activities in the economic lane, in the social lane and everything, but they still contributed indispensable roles in the society that are even unpaid and essential to the society. Now, what are these roles? What were these roles? The first one is the economic role, that is in the business sector. The business sector has known women for providing essential roles in the growth and development of business. Let us take.
Ask, man, do you think women are doing well in terms of business?
Yes, they are doing very well because.
Can you give an example, like maybe you share with our audience, so we'll be able to understand more about what you're saying?
Definitely, sir. From different studies that is previous studies, and from the factual conclusion from my own researches too. Actually, I've not traveled all around the world. I'm only restricted to my country here in Nigeria. But from what I have seen, I've heard about a particular woman called Oprah Winfrey. That woman, she's known to be a person who had built the business empire. She had used her business to encourage millions of ladies out there, millions of women. And I also heard of the former CEO of the Pepsi company. This woman, she's known for her commitment and dedication. These were the women that spent their money to inspire, to uplift people. They made their voices heard, even when the voices of women were supposed to be silenced. They're supposed to be muted.
I'm sorry, man. According to the nation, there are a lot of trends online.
Yes.
So I don't think I've come across these people you were talking about before.
Yes. Now let us come to our own home, Nigeria.
Okay.
We have people like Folorunsho Alakija. We have people like Nkechi Ayoka. These were people that they stood for business. They took their skills and potential. We are talking about skills and potential. You shouldn't just keep quiet as a woman and say, I have this talent, I have this potential. You should take your skills and potential into the business world, into the corporate world, and make the world benefit. These were the women that under-promised but over-delivered.
Okay.
What they had in mind was lower than what they delivered to the society. So you should learn from this woman because they followed a particular theory we know to be the broken window theory, which says the small, seemingly unimportant things would lead to a very big impact. So don't say because you are a woman, then you limit yourself to only little things because they said you are a woman, you are a lady, then you say, no, I cannot do this. Only men could. No. Even if it is small,
okay,
it is just like a drop of water. When it keeps amassing, it becomes an ocean, it becomes a body of water. So even if it is small, it will help somebody's daughter out there. It will help you to be a role model out there. Someone is watching you out there. So you should think of having an impact to provide to the society as a woman. So you need to borrow that strength. You need to borrow that intelligence. You need to borrow that intellectual capacity from these women. They've set the lane already.
But
so you need to follow.
Do you think these women grow the business by themselves, or it was an inheritance? A lot of things are happening, and before a woman could just stand right on her own business and promote the business to the stage of growth. So it should rather be maybe a man is there, or she inherits this business maybe from family.
Yeah.
Because according to research, you see all these women you're calling, you're mentioning their name. If you go back to research, you will discover that their families are the key owner of this business.
That's true, actually.
Yeah.
Concerning that, there are a lot of things to be done.
Okay.
Actually, I wished I could just bring it forward. Like after mentioning their roles, those are touch-ups that could be added in the process of you wanting to be like them. They met those things at home, but we have some families, even if their parents were rich, some children would not still get bent. Some children, they are plastic in nature. An elastic, when you stretch it, it goes back to its position. But when you keep stretching and it gets to a plastic or breaking point, it remains stagnant. Some children, even if the parents are rich, even if the parents are rich or they have this money and everything, they won't still concord, they won't still succumb to their ways. But these people, they were ready to learn, they were ready to move away from that stagnant place they were ready to explore and do so many things. Now, concerning the assistance of men, that is what I'm trying to that's what I will try to say now. Men should serve as allies rather than rivals. Do not see women as your rivals. You see, this is something that is related to observing our privileges. You have to observe your privilege as a man. Then after observing that privilege, you have to work through the biases that we've all had as humans. Hey, no, I'm a woman, I'm a strong woman, I cannot submit to any man. Then you as a man, I'm the man of the house, nobody can do this, nobody can do that. No, let us leave those biases, work through them and eliminate them. Then these privileges you've recognized as a man, you now leverage through them to either step in, step back, or step up to help those that have been historically neglected, that is the women. So these people, they had great men among them. The men who didn't fall into the position of those who took those biases on their heads. So they had great men around them, and they were also ready to do the needful. So that is and also they had people to encourage them, because encouragement is also a very, very important thing when doing something like that. When you have people who encourage you, yes, you can do it, yes, you can do it, because thanks to the how do I put it, to the pillars, to the steadfast pillars who have held the roof in spite challenges, in spite the storms. These are people that held the roof so strong. So I really thank those great men behind their success and breakthrough. There were great men around them, and they were people to encourage.
That's very nice, and we love that. But there's a point I'm needing from you.
Okay.
So you just help us. Maybe you enlighten us on it. Being a lecturer here, being the one teaching us here, there are some things that we are blind of. We are we are not seeing it at all, and we don't understand it. So maybe you could just put light to it. Since I was born, and even till now, the saying still keeps going on. That women is adding value to the community. Women has zero value to the community. I'm not talking about their home. Their home is far different from the community. Women in our home will believe that, okay, these are things I'm going to do. These are the ones I'm not going to do. These are the things that I am privileged to. So you understand? But in the community, in the society, what way are the women in the society giving back to the society? What way are the women in the society helping the society grow? What way in the society are the women in the society helping the country recognize that, okay, actually women are trying and bringing a lot of things to the table in this society?
I've talked about the economic role and the impacts they could make in businesses, how they could look up to the people who have done it before. Now let us go into the caregiving and family role. That is another thing, because a woman is known to be half of a society. She takes care of the children, she pervades principles, values in the children, and this affects those outside. The bad ones outside, the youth outside, were influenced by those inside. Some people came out from a particular house, from a particular family, to influence those outside. So it starts from the home. According to previous studies, a woman's training role, a woman's caregiving role is at a very high rate compared to men. Therefore, we need to inspire, we need to uplift the successive generation. Now, let me go into that fully. In a family, raising up a wholesome child requires the presence of the father and the mother.
Yeah.
But however, women still have a very unique role to play in the life of a child. Let me talk about a very great mother so that others could learn, other females out there could learn from it. I was trying to talk about the fact that the mother has a lot of impact in the life of a child, and that could affect any child outside. It's just like a disease. Once someone contracts that disease, once it passes passes it to another person, it gets viral. It becomes epidemic. So in that case, the woman should pass on the spiritual, the social, the cultural values down to the child, because everything a woman has, every value a woman portrays, it reflects in the child's life, psychologically, socially, culturally. So the woman is supposed to, like a woman as a mother is supposed to follow the lane the great mothers have put down, in the sense that it's
bad one.
The bad ones should be filtered off. We all know.
Okay.
The bad ones should be filtered off, but those good ones, let me rephrase that. The good ones from those great mothers should be emulated. Now let's take this for example, the exemplification of commitment. The mother should be committed, just like our great mothers. Then they are always at their greatest, even if a child is at his or her worst. You're always doing the best. That no, you should be like this. No, you need to be like this. You need to be great. Even if a child says, no man, no, this is how my friends are doing it. As a mother, you need to still be committed, and you need to be resilient. You need to continue that. No, this child must become somebody. These women, there was a particular scenario I experienced when I was still young. A woman of an 80-year-old woman. She was on a call with her son, a 40-year-old son. So the call went this way. Hello, Mama, how are you? I'm fine, ma. Have you eaten? At that age, someone of 40-year-old, like, have you eaten? That shows the love and compassion a good mother should have for her children. It is always said that a family is like a body. The father is the head, while the mother is the heart that distributes love and warmth to the other members of the family. You should inspire others. You should serve as an effect, a positive effect to others in the family. So those are one of the roles of a mother. It was said in one particular movie. I don't really like making references to movies, but I just have to use this here. That was the Barbie 2023. I don't know if you know this Barbie stuff, this cartoon stuff. The 2023 version. She was like, you are to lead, but you aren't mean. You should love to be a mother, but you are not always talking about your children every damn time. That's why I want to make use of. You are not always talking about your children. This helps to picture or encapsulate the contemporary women face when it comes to balancing work life and family life or personal life. Let me talk about, because in the first one I was talking about economic role. It is not only the business lane. No, you should also face your personal life and your family life. How do you do it? You do that by setting boundaries. You should follow the ABCD principle. Just like a book I read, It's the Frog. It's talking about knowing the priorities, knowing the more prioritized ones differently from the less prioritized ones. You should know how to prioritize your task. You should know the one that falls under the A list, the A1 list, A2, A3 list, the B1, B2, like that. So you should know that will help you manage your tasks well and have a balance between the work life, and the personal life or family life. You should also seek support when necessary. You should also prioritize self-care. That will help you to give out a very great output. A great input equals a great output. I've always been hearing something from my colleagues. They would say, if you read well, as a scholar in a particular department, if you read well, you'll be able to teach others perfectly. So that input, if you as the mother, if you're not okay, if you're not very okay, you don't have the right input, you won't be able to put out what you don't have. You cannot give what you do not have. So as a mother, that equation needs to be balanced so that you'll be able to give out more to the children, because they need your attention, they need your presence, they need your dedication in order for them to become that great thing. No mother would deny being happy whenever a stranger comes and says, I noticed this in your child and I'm very proud of that. In fact, it will seem like a pat on the back for long years of suffering, long years of dedication, long years of commitment and intentional training. That would be a pat on the back. So for you to be among those mothers that wants to experience that, you should also put in that effort.
Thank you. What's your message? Okay, thank you very much for that. And we do enjoy your explanation.
Thank you.
I know maybe one or two our lovers would have learned from what you came here to teach us today, and the entire Funfact. We sincerely appreciate that. And even with the fact that you're a woman, I doubt the fact that you're going to come here and be this fluent. In fact, I was even surprised that okay, this is one value you're adding to the community that people don't even know, that people don't understand, and people need to know this. Everything is not need to be left to the men. The women have a lot of things to carry out in the society as well.
Exactly.
In fact, what we do here in the society is that the first teacher a child is going to have is going to be the mother, which happens to be a woman. So if you did not impact well in that child, how did you expect him to output good behavior or character outside there? So for that, we really appreciate what you came here to lecture us on. We do say a big thanks to you, man. Thank you very much. And according to how we do on this show is that when we are going to the handle like this, we normally give our guests a space, opportunity, maybe to advise or add more to what they've been teaching us since they've been on the show to our audience. Maybe you have something you want to advise them, or maybe you have a lecture you want to give them. Maybe you have something you want to add with what you've been lecturing on us since. That will be of benefit to them as well. You know, we've been benefiting since morning. So we want you, maybe you have like end notes that will be of benefit to our audience.
As much as we've always followed those things, and we've always followed the rules and everything, and we've been working on them. There are still some silent people that have not been able to voice out. So we need to be a voice for the voiceless. That is the number one takeaway out. If you women, be a voice for the voiceless. Be a women advocate. You can join different organizations that advocate for the social inclusion policy, the fight against women torture, the fight against the cultural restriction of women from doing things that are related to the social life and the economic world. So you could actually join this. I'll be directing this to you. I'll be introducing a particular platform to you all, the www.reservedseats.com. So it's actually under the South Call to Inclusion. It's actually for women to include them in social activities. And another one is the www.win.nigeria.com, something like that. Because we've had so many countries do things like this. The USA, they did something like that in 1893. The New Zealand, they did it in 1895, something like that. So Nigerians should also do the same. Because among those people, the key organizers of those things were all women. We have the likes of Elizabeth Cady, we have the likes of Susan B. Anthony and the rest. So we should also be the advocates for women. We should voice out, because our light is needed in the world. Our voice is like a jewel that would help people improve and help people get to achieve their goals. Also, we should try to support our fellow women also. That is under that being an advocate for women. That is another advice. And also we should be courageous and brave, just like I've said before. Make your courage speak for you, make your voice speak for you, amplify your voices. Do not keep quiet and restrict yourself to being a woman. I already differentiated between sex and gender. So you are a female. You have a lot of responsibilities to pass out in the society. So you should please do all this to make this nation a better place for us to stay, and to make it a better place for the women specifically, because over the years they've always been excluded from the social life and economic life. So you could be a change today, you could make a change today as a women.
Thank you very much for that.
Welcome,
we do appreciate that. According to how we do on this program, there's now you're going to bring someone to your program and the person delivered even more than you expected, and you will be expecting your viewers, your lovers to be like, okay, this lecturer that came last week, we love the way she speaks, we love the way she advised, and we love the way she lectured. Do you by any chance maybe have a social media handle that maybe you publish some words, or you lecture people and people benefit from that? Our viewers, our lovers can as well benefit from the program.
Yeah, I do have a social media handle, but it's not just related to the social aspect, the educational aspect, and I do so many things on my social media.
You'll be glad to join the platform.
So my social media handle on Facebook and TikTok is Zaharatul
Okay.
I don't know if you get the spelling. ZAHROTULMA''HAD. So that is my social media handle, and on Instagram I am Toyyibbah Solahudeen. So you could follow me for so many updates, positive updates actually. You could learn from and could make a change.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that's all for this week. I'll be meeting on this program again by the special grace of God by the next week. By next week. But thank you.